Welcome back, everybody. My name is Dragagon, and this is Greg Tech New Horizons. So when I left off in the last video, we made several MV machines that are necessary for progress. One of the most important ones being this guy right here, this advanced precision laser engraver. That's the thing that can write different circuits onto the wafers, the silicon wafers, and get us various pieces for more advanced circuits. And in there right now, I have this integrated logic circuit wafer that I've created with a ruby lens. And then the next thing in there is I have this green sapphire lens. The green sapphire lens, there are only 3 different colors or 3 different lenses that you can use for this, and it is absolutely necessary in order to make the random access memory. And so far, only the green sapphire is the one that I could get access to by mining up the sapphire / almandine vein over in the Twilight Forest. So I was finally able to get one of these guys, an exquisite green sapphire, but in order to do it, I did not get very many green sapphire ore, so I did end up making a sifter. So I've got a sifter now so that I can sift through stuff. That also was incredibly important for the bit of magic that I completed earlier. Here you can see a carpenter and a thermionic fabricator. I went ahead and got those guys made up in order to progress down the B and the multi-farm line. And of course, you probably can guess what that means. Yes, I have been spending time working on a few other things. So first off, you'll notice that I've got these primal shrooms. I went ahead and took the 2 dozen Vishroom that I found over in that one magical forest biome, brought them over here. I set up my cauldron right over here. The torches are a hack I learned, I think in the last playthrough, where if you have the squares where goo or other flux would appear, if you have something blocking it, it can't spawn. So I've done that again. To make the primal shrooms, it needs 2 of this stuff, mesis, I'm not sure how you want to pronounce that one, and then 4 of the Perdito. And oddly enough, Perdito is really easy to come by in the form of, and I don't have any right here available, stone dust broken into tiny piles gives you 1 Perdito each. And then the other thing is if you have some pumpkins get you 2 mesis, whatever each. And so it takes 1 pumpkin and 4 tiny piles of stone dust, and you will have access to everything you need in order to make those primal shrooms. Now you can see my garden has grown a little bit. I've gotten several of the metal crops already, and I've pulled out some of the other ones that I've gotten. Like I finally got a copy of the gardenia to grow and then got a seed bag from it. I got platina, I got the titania, the nickelback and argentia are here just to crossbreed. I got the ferru that was back here, and so yeah, I'm making lots of progress. But this is one of the important ones right here, tear stalks. These guys, since they've already crossbred, I can go ahead and right click it, and you can harvest gas tears from those things. So that I consider a very important crop. I was able to crossbreed it between 3 stickreed, and then I moved it over there so that I could duplicate it out of the way of this disaster. So let's see here. Let's go ahead and sleep off the night. And then the other couple of things I have out there that I'm just slowly growing right now are I have a hemp plant. The creeper weed is here to get some other crossbreeds. Namely, I'm crossing it with the stickreed, trying to get either witherreed or blazereed so that I don't have to worry about that stuff from the nether. And then you can see there's the hemp, and there's some the cyazant for cyan dye. So I'm trying to crossbreed either one of these until I get both of them there. I've got a cinder pearl growing here, and then I've had various other things like various ore berries and whatnot growing over here. So that's a pretty big deal, getting all the crops together so that when I can get a multi-farm up and running, we've already got plenty of crops that I can start breeding and getting their stats up, and then making sure that they're watered, etc. And then we can have a nice crop area going where we can have basically unlimited resources. Here you can see I set up a what will be a tower of storage drawers with the blocking of this thing so that it only connects to the controller there. And then as I make more of them, I'm filling them up. And then we've got our nice little generic ME2 system kind of thing going on here with that. But I've also been using this chest to store other things. You can see right here I've got a stack of Kanthal all ready to go. I've got a mess of diesel along with my miner. Since I'm not currently mining anything up, I need to go place that down somewhere. I've got a little bit of Cupronickel, and the Cupronickel works with the Kanthal. Because I finally was able to make the last stack I need of Kanthal. Yes, it did take quite a bit of time, but there is my stack of Kanthal that I can then take over here, and we can start cooling that off. And then I've got right here this ultra low voltage fluid tank. It was the one that was inside the building for a while there, and I just use that. When I get a few buckets of the hot coolant, I put it over here, cool it off, and then I can put it back into the chemical bath. And there's some more of the lapis and distilled water, making more of that IC2 coolant. And then the last thing I've got in my inventory right here is I've got all the stuff necessary in order to make the stainless steel dust. So I can come up here to my mixer. Actually, I think this does that have to be done in the... Oh, it does have to be done in the MV mixer. So here we are in the mixer. We'll go ahead and pull those things out, and we'll drop these guys in. And this needs to be a circuit 1. So, what did you do? Did you... maybe it's not a 1. Did I misread that? No, it's... Oh, it's a 2 when you're using it with nickel. It's only a 1 if you're using Invar, which I just made. So, thank you very much. Let's see here. Manganese, chrome, and a little bit of extra iron, and I can do it that way. Okay, so if I do this and that, that'll go in like that, and then I can bump this up to a 2, and then we're still in the same boat that we're in. It just did it in 2 steps instead of in 1 step. But that will be our stainless steel. Our hot Kanthal is being cooled off. I just have to keep an eye on the power, because running both of these machines, I only have 1 amp of MV between all the steam, and so there is that. Yeah, the diesel power I like. It's nice and compact for using with a combustion engine in order to power miners and pumps and things of that nature. So yeah, that is everything that has been going on. You can see the outlines of a base starting to appear. I've got one area here, an exit just for the nether portal. I've got an exit here to that portal. And then over here, what I was thinking is that this guy would be where I put my rocket launch pad, and then we can launch off to the moon and Mars and everywhere else just from right here. It's a nice little area next to other off-world teleport type things to do with that. So with that all done, I'm going to keep letting this thing run, but that does take care of the Kanthal. That takes care of the stainless steel. If we look at our quest list, you can see I went through a bunch of the stuff down here trying to get things done, namely to get, like the integrated logic circuit, random access memory. I'm going to go get those things taken care of. Once I get the Kanthal coils made, we can look at the solar grade ingots, which I do have the 4 ingots in there, or the 4 dust right now, so that as soon as I have the Kanthal coils, we can smelt that up, and then we can go through the rest of this area over here, looking at making those first HV circuits, and then we can also come down here and complete this with the stainless steel and we can look at getting our first full stack of stainless. And then once that's done, we will be into HV, and we can, complete these other quests as we want or need, and keep on going. So I will see you guys back here in a bit when there's a bit more to show that's not just, me looking at plants and so on and so forth. Okay, so it's taken even more time, but I finally have my Kanthal cooled off, and then I converted it to the 2x wire, and now finishing up the last little bit of making our actual Kanthal coils. That'll complete a quest on our, where is this? The multi-block goals right there. So there we at least have those done. Now, the next things that I want to work on is I want to heat up the nether bricks, and then I also want to get our solar grade silicon bars made for the other part of this quest here. And I noticed that to make the bars, the blast furnace only needs MV power. If it only needs MV power, then why don't I... because the same thing with these guys, the nether bricks, if I put those in, those are also only needing MV power. So if those need MV power and not HV power, rather than 4xing it and only doubling the speed, which means I'm chewing up a lot of battery, I'm chewing up a lot of time, I figure I would just go ahead and I'll pick these guys up, and then I'll pick these guys up, and then I had just come over here and replace them over here. So I think I've got plenty of room. Let's grab those, grab both of those, maybe not. And then we'll take, not those, here we go. And we'll just slap those guys down, and then we'll put these guys down, and then give it a second, and then turn it around, and then make sure we put in our LV batteries, not our MV batteries, because we don't want things to go boom. And that should be good to go there. I don't have a, what are those guys called? We have that available to us as well. This guy, we don't have a scanner yet. So I can't click it and see that yes indeed this is LV power, but we do know that it is. So let's see here. I've already got some oxygen in there, so I can actually go ahead and just dump all 38 of these in here, and it should pick up. Maybe I may have to hammer it though, because we did replace parts on it, and it may not like to just have parts replaced. Yeah, there we go. Oh, and then the other thing is it probably needs a 1, doesn't it? It does. All right, so let's grab those and pull out a screwdriver, change this over to a 1, slap it in, and let it go to town. So we'll be making all of the nether brick, and again, because we're using MV, I don't have to worry about how much of these I have in here. It is just going to run just fine. You know what though? I do want to go ahead and disable it, so let it finish the one that it's currently working on, and then I'm going to replace the coils, because that was the whole point of moving these guys to LV, or to the LV energy hatches, is so that we could put in our lovely new coils. There we go. And then with our new coils in, we'll also be able to do this solar grade silicon. And then we'll of course have to put it back once we get the once we get to making stainless steel. But at least for right now, this is where we can have this stuff up and working. It'll just be another, grab out the old energy hatches and put in the higher power ones once we're ready. All right, so there's that. And then now we should be able to just hit it with a soft mallet again. And it's going to take the same amount of time, but it's going to use a little less power because these guys, if we take a look at how we make them, the heat capacity is 1200, and our new coils, I believe, are 2700. And so we'll get a power decrease, which means it'll use even less power than our 1 amp of MV, which is great. And then, you know, it'll take the same amount of time because we haven't gone over by... well, we haven't overclocked it. We're not using the other power, the HV power, and then on top of that, we're not, you know, if we're not overclocked, it's not going to decrease the time on that. So I'm going to go ahead and let that run. Once that is done, I'm also going to run the solar grade silicon through, and that stuff we have to come over here and cool in the advanced bath. So I'll bring you guys back in once we've got some of that stuff going so that hopefully we'll have... both of those quests done. We can knock out this one, the high-speed charcoal, by having the hot netherrack brick. I can rip apart 1 or 2 of these guys as needed in order to get the coke oven bricks. Just putting the actual bricks into, what is it, the extractor? Yeah, put it into the extractor and pull out some coke oven bricks. That'll have to do with the steam that's still left inside the house there. And yeah, and then we'll take a look at making the actual advanced coke oven bricks. And by doing that, we'll knock out this quest. We'll knock out the other quest here in bio for the masses, even though it wants 1 more block than it actually needs. I planned for that number instead of the previous number, and then we'll get that solar grade silicon going so that we can take a look at the silicon plates and getting the rest of that HV circuitry up and running, so that when we make our stainless, we'll be able to just start making one of our first machines in the land of HV. So I'll see you back here in a bit. Well, I did a few things while I was off camera. There you can see my backpack filled with a bunch of parts. One of the other things I did just a bit ago was I crafted up some of this right here, some electrical steel, some conductive iron ingots, and some pulsating iron ingots, so that I could unlock the quest necessary for making these guys down here, which is our dark steel. That quest right there unlocks the ability, or unlocks another quest, not necessarily the ability, but another quest for making the dark steel armor, which is one of the things I am going to do here shortly. But before we get that far, I have 4 of these silicon solar grade plates, and that will complete another quest. There we go. There's the silicon plate quest done. And then from there, that allows us to then make our transistors. It needs some molten polyethylene. It looks like I need to grab 4 of that real quick, and we can craft up these in the assembler. So we'll put that stuff in there, and then I just need 4 of the polyethylene sheets that I've got saved up. I still need to set up a basic polyethylene. You can see I'm starting to run low, like I've got a little over a stack there, and I've been using it, of course, to craft mainly these chip parts that they want you to make. So we get that melted up, and then this will craft us up some transistors. And then, that was interesting. That didn't, well, it says it's optional, so that's all right. They were in my inventory, but it didn't pick up that they were done. But at least the quest is there just once it gets done. The other thing that I have up here is all of the necessary components, with the exception of these diodes, to be able to craft up 16 of those of the integrated circuits, the ILCs that it asks for in this quest. So we'll have those done shortly. And then the rest of the parts here you can see are the other parts necessary in order to make the rest of these quests. I do have the view mode turned on so I could see what's what, but I have all the parts necessary in order to make the good integrated circuits. And then once the transistors and the good integrated circuits are done, I have the entire part list to be able to make 4 of the HV advanced circuits. So there we go. There are our 24 transistors. That knocks out the transistor quest. That should then also knock out the other quest. Well, sorry, it's an optional part there. If we go ahead and... oh, I need this one done first. So it'll be just a minute while we wait for these circuits to craft themselves up, and then I can continue down the line in order to make that. The other thing that I am going to be doing here is I am going to be swapping out those energy hatches and finally smelting up the stainless steel. Now, stainless steel requires so much power that I can only run like 1 or 2, depending on maybe 3 if I'm using oxygen at a time, and so it's going to be a slow, arduous process of smelting those down, waiting for it to charge back up, and repeating the process until I have a full stack, but at least I don't have to cool them off in a bath with more IC2 coolant. I'm pretty much done with that stage. The exception to that is... not this guy. Those are the easy resistors. Those are nice. I thought there was a quest. There is. This one up here. In order to get the machine chassis, you have to make the basic capacitors. In order to make the basic capacitors, you need tantalum. In order to make tantalum, you have to smelt it in the EBF to a hot ingot and then take that hot ingot and use the chemical bath in order to cool it off. So I still have a little bit more that I could do in terms of using the chemical bath with some IC2 coolant in order to make a couple of tantalum ingots, and then those ingots can go into making basic capacitors, and then on top of that you can also use them to make some more diodes. So if I run into the need to make more diodes, having a little bit of tantalum on hand would double what I can currently make, I believe. Let's see here. Let's take a look at these guys. There it is, the tantalum with a small pile of gallium arsenide dust, which means that I would have to, you know, mix up the dust and then I could do that stuff with it. So it's a bit more. It's a bit less on the gallium arsenide to make some more diodes, and we're kind of stuck with that path until we get a little further along. So that should complete the integrated circuit quest. And then that should also then get this guy. Let me just go ahead and we'll just drop something and pick it up, and maybe that'll get it. Yeah, there it is. So here we go. I've got the 16 processors. I only need 8 of these good boards, and then resistors, diodes, fine gold wire, and silver bolts, and that'll craft up 8 of the MV tier, the good integrated circuits that we can use then to make one of these advanced, or each of these advanced circuits. So we'll go ahead and let that finish up, and then I will get started on those HV chips. The other thing I can go ahead and do is, if we do this, there we go, there's 24 of these guys. Get those plated out, and then I already have my hammer. I'm so used to being inside the house where I have that workbench that has all my tools. I forget that I pulled out my backpack, renamed it to tools, and then I put them all in there so that I can more easily just grab out the tools that I need as I need them instead of having to run back into the house to deal with that. So here we go, 20, that's at 3. There we go, 24 of those. And then we can come over here and using our hammer, dark helm, dark leggings, dark boots, and then move that up 1. And there is our dark plate, and that will complete the Luke, I'm your father, because we're wearing all dark armor. It's too bad we can't breathe through a breathing machine. Well, guess I'm glad it's not breathing through a breathing machine. But anyway, with that done, just waiting now on these good integrated circuits to finish up, and then we can load it up with the rest of this stuff and get ourselves some HV circuits. Those circuits, along with finishing this quest here, is what is required in order to actually unlock Tier 3. So once we have that, all the rest of these quests are pretty much optional. Like, we can go through and complete them at our leisure, but we will have made it into the realm of HV. So I'm going to be doing that stuff off camera. That way you guys don't have to bear with the long crafting times of trying to make all of that stainless steel in order to complete that quest. So yeah, let's just get this knocked out. Give it just a little bit more time here, and there we go. There is number 8. There's the good integrated circuits, and then if we drop something and pick it back up, it should give us the optional portion of this next one all set, and then we have our advanced tier here. Yep. So only 4 of those, like so. So there we go. Everything we need in order to get those HV circuits up and running, and then we can start taking a look at some of the other HV stuff. So I think we're good here. This is our basically the outro to our MV time. I'm going to consider a few automations. One of the things I do want to get to, because I do have the 35 advanced coke oven bricks, is to get ourselves into making wood tar, and they recommend you make either 2 LV fluid extractors or 1 MV one, so we can start processing charcoal into wood tar, and then of course that will carry on into the next quest, which is making an MV distillery, so that we can distill that down into benzene and use benzene as some supplemental fuel. I believe it's somewhere on par with diesel. So that'll be good. So anyway, I will see you guys in the next episode, where hopefully we will break into HV properly. Till then.